All right, guys. Good evening. Welcome to the after show, I guess is the way to talk it. A little bit of talk about the ride. Can you guys hear me? I see Evil Rick and Frogzilla both in the show for the night so far. Um, are you there, Frogzilla? Can you hear me? Evil Rick. Everybody hear me okay? So we're about three different setup with the restream. Just trying different things still, the trial and error kind of thing. Um, and like I said earlier, I noticed at first that nobody was going live um, when I did my live at 5. And then, as usual, every Monday I forget about the 5:30 Biker podcast. Um, a great podcast. I'm definitely going to have to share that one for next week. Put that out there for everybody. We got about 5 people in here. So, uh, just a little intro. I thought we'd do a little live on Mondays during the off season for the Park Motorcycle Syndrome. I can't get out in the garage and do stuff out there and talk. So I thought about doing like stories from the road, the good, the bad, the ugly. Everybody's got that ride that went on that everything either went wrong. I don't think any ride ever takes it where everything makes it right. So I've got a few of my own, and I thought I'd have somebody come on do maybe one interview, let them tell a little bit about their channel each Monday night, and talk about rides, things to come, and rides that you've had in the past that have gone either super haywire, a little haywire, things like that. I've got several. If you've laid down some miles, everybody's got a couple, or always have that one memory ride that you just bring it up and nobody wants to do it again. Moto Bomb, thanks for coming in this Monday night. How are you doing? Are you at home, settled in? I'm running restream on this one. Just doing a kind of a test on it. Didn't see anybody else from Duct Tape Community or anybody else live, so I jumped on after my live at 5 and realized that maybe I could take a little Monday window of a little bit of live time, talk about stuff, and kind of put it behind bars and put it out in front here and talk about things. So I thought I'd wait for a few people to get in. Um, Everybody hear me okay? I did not run my intro, um, but that's okay. It's a different kind of live. That intro I kind of set up for live at 5. So I did plan on running a whole long live at all tonight. It's kind of on the fly. But everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit the poll. Tell me what you think about your rides. Um, Give it a couple more minutes and we'll jump right into my ride, and then we'll see if anybody wants to jump on and talk about any of theirs that went haywire. Like I said, I've got a few, and I rolled through the Rolodex up in my brain of which one I wanted to share to start off with. 824, thanks for stopping in. Um, so I rolled through a few of them. I've always got that one that pops up, even when we talk about it amongst the ones that were on it with us. We cringe a little bit and wonder if that's the ride that we want to do again. Um, but a lot of us throw that stuff out there. We got a group of us that ride together quite regularly, and we even talk about we have meetings just amongst us um, once a month or so in the off season. Try to plan out the things of what rides we want to do and what things we want to do. It's kind of a couples thing that we do together. My wife rides, so she does some of that too. Hello, how are you doing, Lack? Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Uh, so I just thought I'd throw this out there, see how it goes. And like I said before, I like to throw things at the wall and see what sticks, see what doesn't, see what interests people, and things like that. The Live at 5 seems to be doing fairly well. I've been doing, thank you, that's my son's build behind me. So I've been doing the Live at 5, and it seems to be doing all right. I like to help other channels grow and things like that. Um, it's been a lot of fun sharing different people's channels and watching them grow along the way. So my ride that we did, there was probably, I think there were 9 of us, 9 bikes that left out of our house to take a ride up to a blessing of the bike that was about a 3 hour ride and under normal conditions. We laid out a stop along the way, wanted to eat dinner and get some gas. My wife was riding her Sportster at the time. We didn't have that much fuel consumption to make it all the way to where we were going. Um, and we all met, left from my work, headed north. Um, it was nice weather. It was springtime, first ride of the season, so it was mid 60s, high 70s. My kids were on chase vehicle. I had one bike on the trailer, so one of uh, my son-in-law could ride it with my daughter, and we headed north. They were the chase vehicle just in case anything happened. Put some luggage in it because we were taking a weekend trip to the Blessing. Beautiful time, great ride up there. Everything went great on the way up till we hit about hour out. It started getting cold. Sun started going down because we took a little bit longer eating, gassing up, talking. The girls were talking amongst themselves. Guys were talking. We were telling our stories from the road. Sitting in the bar, stuck around a little bit too long. So, but it was 7 degrees. Temperature dropped till about, I would say it was probably 40 or 50 because the sun had gone down. It was springtime. And we're about an hour out. I was leading, everybody was following. My wife was beside me on her Sportster with no windshield, no nothing. Chrome bars, chrome hand grips, bikes chromed out. I could see her pretty well. We have hand signals that we did back and forth. And she was giving me the how much farther do we have to go? This is getting to be miserable. Because of the coldness, we weren't dressed appropriately for the cold to go down. And then it started to rain. We were about 20 minutes from our lodge that we were staying at, and the rain started coming down. I was battling the rain, trying to get clears on everything, keep everything clear. And my wife's shivering. I can tell I'm cold. I got heated grips. I got everything. I'm good. I got a fairing in front of me, windshield. My wife's got nothing. I know that I'm cold, so I know she's miserable. And nobody likes to have the wife miserable because that makes things become miserable. And she's had her looking at her watch, pointing at me, and I've slowed down because everybody behind us is miserable and we're getting wet, but not completely soaked. And it was that time where you decide we got 15 minutes to go. Do we stop, put rain gear on out, or do we head it out? I'm kind of signaling back, looking back, seeing everybody saying ride, let's just ride because everybody knows we're getting close. So we get 10 minutes, and I've given my wife the 10-minute signal. We've picked up the pace a little bit. Rain's starting to hit a little bit harder. And now I can literally see the lodge light that says no vacancy, but we've got reservations. We know we're good. And it completely opens up. Like it's just pouring, downpour. We're probably going 10 miles an hour. It's about 45 degrees and we are drenched. I go up there, get the keys, get everything set up, get everybody in. We get our gear. Luckily, I try to close everything in the car. But we're all piling in. And at this lodge, there's a place to put your gear. It's set up for fishing, but it works really well for motorcycles this time of year. So we hung our stuff up to dry, and everybody's changing. And we're all talking about it. And we get everything carried in from outside in the car. And everybody set up, got a little campfire going out back, decided to jump in the car, run down, get some food, throw it on the grill, things like that. And we had a good night. Everybody had a good night's rest. And then that was on. So Saturday morning, we get up. There is about an inch of snow on the ground outside of our lodge. And this was a few years back, but We look outside and the bikes are covered in ice and then snow. So with 9 of us, we're like, let's just ride down to town. The roads are clear. Let's just ride down into town. 5 minute ride. It's probably 35 degrees out. The girls all pile in the car. We'll ride down. So get on the bike. Bike seats frozen. Frozen. Like the gel in the seats are frozen. Everything's frozen. My buddy gets on his bike, newer bike, hit start, click, click, nothing. Battery. So the girls already left. They've already run down. They're already there, probably at the restaurant getting their reservations. So I've got the extra bike, and I'm like, just ride the extra bike down, and then we'll get a battery. So we all rode down into town, and we're eating breakfast, and everybody's talking about how miserable it is. All the bikes, everybody that's there is talking about how cold and miserable. They've never had it so cold there, and everybody's complaining battery problems, everything. So we had his on the tender on the charger. I tried charging it; it didn't charge. So he needed a battery. So we're already out on the bike, and I'm like, there's a shop 15 minutes down the road. A couple of us jump on the bike and we blast down there, go down there and get him a battery. Well, we get almost all the way there. The place is closed. It's closed on the weekends. So another 20 minutes north is a small town that had a auto parts store in it. We'd called and they had a battery for the bike. So we decide, we're halfway there. Let's just ride it out. So we start riding it out, and ice cubes start falling from the sky. I mean, it's hailing ice. These ice cubes are golf ball size, and they're bouncing off the road. We're watching this happen, and we're just kind of, by this time you're committed, and we can't get all the bikes back. So we ride in, get the battery, and I throw it in my saddlebag. We turn around, we start riding back, and the temperature's dropping, and the road starts getting a little greasy. And when I say greasy, it's snow covered. There ain't even been cars on this road. It seems like they were coming down, and we don't have a path to pick or anything. It's getting colder, and hands are getting cold. So we get back to the lodge, and it's only about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's starting to, everybody else, they're cleared up here. We're only, 40 minutes south. It's clear. Everybody's ready to go for a ride. And I'm like, man, you don't even know what it's like north of here. But we checked the radar. Everything's looked clear, and we weren't going super far. So we got warmed up, put the battery in the bike, and headed down for the events during the day for the blessing of the bike. The blessing's on Sunday. This is Saturday, but everybody comes in and starts. The party's always on the night before, and they got vendors set up, and the girls are walking around shopping. So we walk in, start walking around, everything like that, and there's probably 7, 8 people's batteries that night that didn't start. But I had rode my chopper down because we all rode down that night. And I rode my chopper down. My son-in-law rode my road glide with my daughter, and we're all sitting there. We've all ate. We've all walked around. We've had a few drinks. I jump on my chopper, turn the ignition on, start it up, and I'm going to take a rip down the main street where all the bikes are at. And it starts spitting and popping and everything like that. And so I rev it up a little bit and get it warm because it's cold, and get coming down. And then I look down, there's sparks flying every time that's happening. There's just sparks flying. So I look down, my ignition, my whole entire ignition switch is falling down, and it's running through the chain and running on the chain, and the sparks are flying because it's shorting out and it's cutting out. So that's why it's popping. Now we're about 15 minutes from the lodge. I've now realized that I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with my bike and get it fixed if I want to ride as a blessing, or is this bike just not going to be blessed because it's cursed. So I've signaled to my wife that's riding beside me to stay back, and I'm just going to haul. Well, we're in town. So at that time, I realized that I'm sitting there, and all of the sudden, this whole entire time, I did not have my microphone on. No. So this whole entire time, I realized that it is getting darker. Oh, my headlight's not working. Flip it over to high beam's not working. I got the tail light, no nothing. And all of a sudden, I look down and there's flames shooting out of the pipe by my leg because it's popping and misfiring and doing everything like that. But at this point, it's dark. I really can't see anything. But I can see the lodges coming up, and I don't have any light, so I'm on the shoulder, and I'm just revving it, pushing it. It cut off, and then it restart, kind of start itself rolling. I get into the lodge, I get off the bike, and I look, and I've got wire hanging behind my bike. I've ripped out 90% of the wiring harness from my chopper. It is now dragging this whole time behind my bike. There's no ignition switch. It's somewhere gone. Keys, everything, the whole switch, everything's just gone. But the entire wire harness had ripped out from the frame tube, except for the only reason it was running because it was short, and by the time I rolled in there. But I had probably 5 foot of wire behind the bike dragging on the ground, which included the tail light that had ripped off. The tail light mount, everything had ripped off when it ran through the chain and just drug it, and it was dragging it all behind when I coasted into the lodge. So my wife and everybody else comes rolling in behind me, and so that night we sat around talking. I'm like, I guess we rewire the whole bike. I'm not going to take the blessing. So we pushed it up on the trailer, and after that was on the trailer, we got it strapped on that night because the morning we planned on going to the blessing and then heading home, because if it was going to be cold and miserable ride home, we didn't want to push it too bad. So the next morning, we got up in the morning and went to go to the blessing. One bike wouldn't start, and decided we'll put that bike on the trailer. So now we have 2 bikes on the trailer. And this trailer we brought was a smaller trailer for one bike, which was my chopper to take it there. Very lightweight Harbor Freight trailer with fenders on it. And left that there, went to the blessing, did all that. I rode my road glide. They drove the trailer. We left the trailer, but we drove the car down with a few extra people in it. Well, since we were short a couple of bikes, but packed everything in the Explorer, got everything packed in, hooked the bike up to so we just have to grab the trailer and go when we headed out of town. And we went down to the blessing. Blessing was busy, as it always is. And we get ready to leave. Everybody's leaving. We go back to the lodge. We're going to leave in a pack and kind of break off when we get closer to home because people went different directions. But we had 3 hours ride before we started breaking off. We make it 15 minutes out of town, and my bike decides to go to neutral. And I'm trying. I'm like, what happened? Clutch went out. Trying to figure out where I'm going. Nothing's working. Still not getting nothing. Well, drive belt broke. And when it broke, it also left some shrapnel behind it. So now we had 2 bikes on the trailer already. My road glide would make 3. And it was tight getting everything on there, but we got all 3 bikes on this small trailer. So my wife is riding, my son's riding, and one of the guys his back is starting to get stiff because it's cold, and he decides to roll out and go ahead of us. Well, he gets lost, and it took them like 5 hours to get home, 6 hours to get home, and it was cold, raining, snowing. But that's later on in the part of the story, because we get about an hour and a half outside of our house. No, we didn't make it that far. I forgot about part of it. So we got 3 or 4 bikes behind us still. I got the trailer with the 3 bikes on it. It's a small Harbor Freight trailer. And we get 15 minutes down the road. My wife has gone ahead with my son beside her, riding a little bit farther. They're just going ahead to try to. They were going to. I forget what they're going to find, but they're going to find something at gas station because we needed gas in the car. And we're going to meet at the gas station. My wife was cold and wanted to go ahead. So all of a sudden, like the guy that behind me rides up and he's like, smoke's rolling off the trailer, and pointing at the trailer. We look and we got like, looks like we're just burning the tires off the trailer. So go back and the fenders, because of the weight on the trailer, the fenders were rubbing on the trailer fender wells. And my buddy that was riding behind it, his coat was just black soot from the tires. Luckily we didn't pop a tire or anything. We got off the side of the road. Without any other way to do it, I removed fenders off the trailer with the old hammer and beating them off because I didn't have the right tools to get it off there. Broke the rivets, got everything off, and that's where we were at there. So it was a good time. I got distracted talking, trying to remember stuff. Sterling Wheels in here. Nice to see you, Sterling Wheels. Thanks for stopping in. And Old Mac's in. Thanks for stopping in, Old Mac. Hope you're still in. And Retire Rider stops in. Hope that didn't miss anybody in there. But yeah, so that's where we're at. We got tires, fenders cleared now. My wife's come back to see what's going on, and I'm like, all right, everybody on bikes, just head out. We all got cell phones, which was a problem. And my wife and my son stayed back with us because they were with us, but everybody else head back and see what we can do. So after that, we going back ways because I'm going slow. Didn't want to take the highway with my wife and snow and the weather, everything like that. Didn't want to press it. So we get about an hour and a half or so away from the house, and the kids, my daughter's in the car with me and her boyfriend, and they said, "What's that smell?" And so I'm like, "Man, I smell that too." And get to a stop sign and hit the brakes, and the pedal goes all the way to the floor. Like there was no stopping. There was no stopping. So brakes went out on the Explorer. And fixing, it's getting dark. And putting brake pads, caliper, and calipers on the side of the road on the Explorer in the snow. So my wife decides, hey, we'll go get the parts on the bikes and come back. So she went and got brake pads, calipers, rotor, everything, and I just slapped what I could together on the side. So after that, get everything on. It's now like 9 o'clock at night. My buddy's calling me now. He's been lost for hours in this town, can't figure out how to get home, and his back's locking up. So we're trying to locate him to get him in the car with his wife, and I was going to ride his bike home. And we figure out where they're at. We start riding over there. Now, my wife is riding a Sportster, and my son was riding my buddy's wife's Sportster because it was cold and she didn't want to ride, so she was riding with him. My wife's clutch lever falls off going down the highway. Like, I see it come off, I see it bounce, and she is now riding with no clutch lever. And it's cold. And so I knew where it came off at, so we pulled over and I went back and I started looking for it, and I found it. Found the pin, found everything. The only thing I didn't find was a Jesus clip to put it back together with. So I walked back there and found out that put it in, and she's going down the road and this thing was bouncing and she would hold it with her finger, and we're heading back down the highway. And bikes on the trailer, everything. And the lever comes off again, but she catches it and sees it happen. So she's riding down the highway and she's got the clutch lever and the pin. She's decided to stick the clutch lever in her mouth and she's just riding because she doesn't need it because we're on the highway. And I realized what happened. So we're trying to make it, hoping there's no traffic because we only have one exit off the highway and that's a left turn. We're home. So I think she's thinking in her head that she can just make this ride. And we only had about a half hour to go. So we get about 20 minutes from the house and we're stopped dead in traffic on the highway. So she's putting the clutch lever in and put the pin in. And I'm on my buddy's bike behind the Explorer and the trailer with the 3 bikes on it. We are stopped in traffic, been sitting there for 5 or 6 minutes. It's blowing snow, it's cold. A guy tries to pass on the left hand of us, and there's no room. And it just about wipes out me, my wife, and my son was on the far side, so he was clear of it. But I watched this whole thing happen, and I'm pissed. You get mad, you're on the bike, and my whole family's right there, and I got friends that are right there with us. And the biggest, burliest bike I've ever seen gets out of the semi truck that was sitting beside us and my wife, and he goes over and he beats on this guy's door, and I haven't even had time to get out of the bike yet. He's beating on this guy's door, like he's gonna rip the door off the hinges to get in. And I don't have any kind of clue who this guy is or nothing. Well, that guy they're just arguing back and forth, and the guy had nothing to do with it, and I'm pissed. I'm like, hey, he's defending us. And so all of a sudden traffic clears, so it's time to go. And my wife takes off and we hit the exit down the road a little bit farther, and I look over and my son's nowhere. Like, he was there 3 minutes ago. Where is he at? So I told my wife, just go home. We're there. Just the house is there. I'll go back. I'll swing around and find him. So my son had broke off to follow the Explorer, which makes sense, but it was cold and I didn't think about it. He broke off to follow the Explorer to my friend's house so they could drop off the Explorer or drop off the bike, and he'd bring the Explorer back with us, which made sense. Except for the fact that, remember, the fenders had been rubbing on the tires. The tire blew on the trailer 2 blocks from my house. And I've been freezing cold, wet, frozen all day. And I'm like, hey, just drive it. Just drive it home. Keep it slow. Keep it on the side of the road. Now there's 3 bikes on the trailer. It's doing the old hoppity. And we get it home. Well, at some point or another, after we put that bike on there with my chopper with the wiring harness, we never took the wiring harness off or anything. And it kind of got wrapped up around there, and it pulled a little bit farther, and the entire trailer was hot. Like, you touch the trailer, it was like hot feeling. And what had happened is the battery from that chopper had fallen over and been ripped and drug, and positive and negative both were touching the trailer. So we got that part cleared up and left everything on the trailer. Just went inside when it got warm and went back and figured out that I now had to rewire a trailer, rewire a chopper, put a belt on my road glide, and that was a miserable ride back. So I know everybody's always got a story from the road, but that was just my left turn, one that I Rolodex in my brain, and we have not been back to that blessing yet, because we've called that blessing the cursing of the bikes, and that we did not want to do that one again. So my story's done, and I'm done rambling. Does anybody in the site chat want to jump on with a story from the road that they'd like to share with us? Yes, it was definitely a nightmare frog thing, and I'm glad you guys all stuck around for that part of the conversation. Yes, that is true. Ray definitely feels like there's somebody looking out for you some of the time. Um, I definitely like that. So I rambled on that whole story. Just one of the stories from the road that I had. So Dr. Harley's in. Nice to see Dr. Harley in. So, but yeah, it's like I said, I didn't see when I did my live at 5, and I was looking for a one to spotlight. I didn't see anybody else that was throwing live, so I thought I'd jump on and see what was there. Um, Share a little story from the road, see how things went, and things like that. I didn't have a whole lot laid out because I didn't have a bunch of time to plan for it. And I just went through my head the Rolodex and grabbed that ride because that was the miserable one that we always have. That every time we talk about rides amongst the group, we do. So, well, I'm sorry that you feel that Harley went that woke, Jim, that you had to sell the 5 that you had. Um, Unfortunately, that's kind of news in the past. But if that's what you feel, everybody's got their own feelings to it. So, well, if somebody else wants to jump on, just let me know. I'll throw that link out there, see what's going on. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that right here, real quick. All right, so I'm doing it on Restream, but if anybody wants it, here it is. Um, maybe, maybe not. Dr. Harley's put on a lot of miles, so I know he's got one. On my way to Sturgis 2010 on a soft tail with a bad header seat, 18-inch. Oh, that's a long ride right there on a bad liner seat. I'm speaking earlier in the story. I don't know if you're in there. The seat I was talking about was a bad liner seat when we walked out, and it was completely frozen. The gel and everything in it. So 5 days in the Ozark, 4 days of rain. That's one thing about a motorcycle trip. If you leave on a motorcycle, you can plan it. You can look at the weather. You can look at the radar. There's going to be pop up shower every time I ride. It seems like if I plan it, I can't plan the weather, but I just ride through it. It's just one of those things that happens. We all are used to it. So 800 miles for 2 days and 3 hours. Yes, yes. Be was part of it. Those Badlander seats. Hopefully, were solo. Then hopefully Mel wasn't with you, because if Mel was with you, I can guarantee you that her ride was way more miserable than yours, because that back seat and that Badlanders are rough. I've got some. I've got other rides. I'm not gonna. I want to save some other ones for the other Mondays and stuff. But like next Monday, I think I'll do this again and try to do a little more laid out and plan it a little better. Have somebody come on that wants to come on and share one of their stories from the road and hang out. Um, See how their good, bad, or the ugly ride went. Everybody's got the ugly ride. I think every ride when you ride on a motorcycle, there's always bound to be something that goes bad. So I just popped on real quick and did this one. So I'm gonna jump off from here. Yes, yes, that pissed blood for 3 days. I can believe it. Yeah, that a Softail, they've got better on the suspension, but Softails still aren't like a super luxury ride. Um, they are not the best. Ride to Forgotten Angel Camp out in March was 4,007 miles. That's laying down some miles there. So, so if anybody's interested next week in jumping on this is just the first week of doing this. If anybody wants to jump on next Monday at 8 o'clock and has got a story they'd like to share or like to come in and hang out and just talk about their channel a little bit and let's share a ride that they have. I'd like to do that. Maybe put it out there, see how other people's ride went haywire. But I have got to get out of here for tonight. I'm hoping that somebody wanted to jump on and I could plan this a little bit better. But as usual, my plans don't always go as planned. I do like to keep the lives a little bit shorter. So, but I'm going to try to keep them Mondays. This one's only been going about 40 minutes. I'm going to try to keep the Monday live to about an hour. I have one guest on. Maybe start out talking a little bit about your channel, a little bit about yourself, maybe about your bikes, the bikes that you have in your stable, what you prefer to ride out of the bikes that you have, and what got you into riding. You know, I was brought up in it myself. My grandfather rode, my dad rode. On both my grandfathers, my uncles, everybody rode. So, and then great if you want to come on next time, Dr. Harley, we'll talk about it and see. I'll hit you up and see if maybe we can get you on to come on and talk about it. Like I said, I didn't plan this. When I did my live at 5, I suddenly realized that nobody was live on Monday nights other than the ones that I forgot that are larger channels and everything. But with that being said, maybe come on and talk about that stuff and that good, bad, or ugly ride. I mean, I've got enough to keep talking about it for hours, but I also want to be able to do this a couple different times. I gotta plan a little bit better for it and see. Yes, thanks for sharing links. As always, a great moderator, Evil Rick, and I'd like to thank everybody for stopping in. Jim Reynolds in the house too. So that was just one of them right off the time. From the Ray Gregory Rides is in. That was just one of many stories from the road I have. I've got some adventurous ones. We know riding choppers. Choppers decide to do chopper things when you're riding them. When choppers do chopper things, you just hold on for the ride and go along with it and see what it decides for you in the end. I've done probably, I think, the longest ride I did iron butt on a chopper. Don't recommend it. Wouldn't try it again. And definitely not a planned ride at all. Good evening, XAN. Thanks for stopping in. So, you know, it's just a good time to get out there and ride and things like that. And things go south. But when you ride, so my Road Glide, I do a lot of long distance rides on it. Chopper, I kind of stopped. I'm getting older. It hurts. Even younger choppers hurt riding. You know, Dr. Harley talked about just earlier about pissing blood for 3 days. I got a story like that on a chopper. I'll share one of these weeks coming up. But I'm starting to feel better. I did my reevaluation today, so I'm going to start getting back into it. Hopefully, be able to get the green screen down and be back out working on bikes here in the very near future. I took a positive turn in this last one. I get to soon ditch the walker and move to some other stuff. So with that, we're about 39 minutes into this, and my format has run out, and I don't want to leave a bunch of blank space, or I don't want to drag on and talk about nothing with you guys. So with that being said, thank you everybody for stopping in for a second live for the night, and I will see you all at my live at 5 tomorrow for the small channel spotlight. Hope you guys are all seeing that. Tonight's small channel spotlight was Retired Rider, new channel, the Electrical Rider channel. And the Limelight, which is going to be artist and bigger channels, artist of types. The artist, check it out if you didn't see it. The artist is Scene Killer Garage, Peter Maxwell. I met him earlier this year, and it was a good time. He's got a lot of good content coming out. Not so much as content, so much as showing what he's done so far. So he's just building out. So sick bastard, you come in right at the end of it. You were sleeping. Everybody, sick bastard's now awake. We didn't put him completely asleep, but he's awake. But so I will run down tomorrow's stuff on live at 5 and try to keep it live up. And next week we will be back here for Moto Monday. The good, the bad, the ugly stories from the road. Thanks for everybody for stopping in and hanging out. Hope I didn't bore you. Like I said, this was definitely a test run. And I kind of liked it. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. I feel like I just kind of ramble sometimes, but that's kind of like the live thing is, and I just fumbled through this one. So everybody have a good night.